All right, welcome to another interview episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I'm on the line with Mike, and we'll get into your bio in a second. But Mike, you've generated over $500 million in sales on Amazon. But hear me out here. When you sell on Amazon, they're just taking a big chunk of your revenue. So doesn't that make them the bad guy, the bully that we should all avoid? Why or why not?
You sound like some of the founders I work with. No, I mean, it's the exact opposite. When we look at Amazon, it is the single best place to get your brand discovered online. The conversion rates are some of the highest. So you want to attract new customers. That's where you want to invest your money. That's where you want to acquire customers. That's where you're going to keep building your brand and be able to keep scaling all your other channels, building out your Amazon channel the right way first.
That's awesome. That was a little devil's advocate question. I think of it like getting a storefront at the mall. Like the mall is a very expensive place to get retail square footage, right?
Yep.
But at least historically, it's been a place where people just walk around looking to buy things, and Amazon is that today.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So formal bio, the official introduction. Mike Begg is an entrepreneur, multi-company founder, and expert in e-commerce and digital marketing. He co-founded AMZ Advisors with his two partners in 2015, and he's grown the business to managing over $10 million per year in ad spend and $100 million per year in Amazon sales. And actually, he's telling me that these are conservative numbers. Mike, with his partners, also started Magnified, an outsourced sales service for B2B businesses, and Eleva, a product distribution company in Latin America. And he loves sharing advice and helping out with anything related to e-commerce, marketing, and building efficient businesses. Now, Mike, I actually grabbed something here that I think you're going to appreciate. So I was looking at your story, and I want to go back in time a little bit. You said you worked for Sears when they were doing a slow motion train wreck in the retail world. And yeah. I give a lot of props to Sears because way back in the day, the Sears and Roebuck's catalog was like the Amazon.com of its day. And as a copywriter, I have a super old, I guess this is 1897 Sears, Roebuck and Company catalog just to see what they were doing when they were the only direct mail marketer, right?
Yeah.
So you worked for Sears when they were doing that slow motion train wreck, and around that time you also started experimenting with selling on Amazon. And so in just a couple minutes, can you share that journey as a jumping off point for what we're going to talk about today?
Of course. And I mean, I think Sears catalog was revolutionary at the time, but unfortunately, Sears did not continue to revolutionize itself. By the time I joined Sears, we were on the downside. I worked in the real estate development side of the business, or the real estate side of the business. And, the first thing I did when I joined there was became part of the real estate investment trust team. And what we were doing was we were taking about 200 Sears stores and Kmart stores, because everyone always forgets that Sears owned Kmart as well, and spinning them off and selling them, taking them public. So we raised about $2 billion from there. After the REIT ended, I stayed with Sears, kind of moved into their disposition and development side. So we started taking other Sears stores and Kmart stores and saying, all right, how can we split these up? Can we lease them to other tenants? What's the best way we can get the most money for these assets to try to give Sears more cash to survive? We raised a lot, but obviously it wasn't enough. And I started paying more attention to some of the transactions we were doing, or some of the transactions that were coming across, the line. And one of the interesting ones that I still remember was in a D mall, which was pretty much closed. I mean, there was nothing there. We had a store, and that was about it. And Amazon was buying it. And I was like, why does Amazon want to buy a mall? It's an e-commerce platform. What the hell are they doing? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it came to find out that they were turning it into a distribution center. And that's kind of the first time that I realized what Amazon was actually doing. It's the first time I'd really paid attention to it. I'd bought books on Amazon before, but this was 2014, 2013.
Yeah.
So I still didn't really, Amazon wasn't what it was today. It wasn't as known for, the everything store. So from there, I started learning more about it. I found different opportunities. I started self-publishing books on the Kindle platform, selling those. Then I got into retail arbitrage, essentially buying products on clearance and then selling them on Amazon. We took that money, myself and my two partners, we reinvested it into a private label brand, importing art supply products from China and then selling those online under our own branded name. And that was kind of the moment where the idea for the agency came around, because it was an art supply brand. So we were competing against Crayola. Obviously, that's the largest one there is. And there were some categories where we were actually beating Crayola. Our marketing, our positioning, our branding, and everything was better. And that's when we kind of realized that companies don't know what they're doing on Amazon. And from there, that was the idea for the agency, like, let's help them grow their sales. And from there, we had a lot of luck early on with big companies needing the help and not being many options. And the companies just continue to grow from there. So that's how I ended up here as the CEO of AMZ Advisors.
Excellent. So you've done everything from launching your own brand on Amazon with the whole private label, importing all of that, to working with very big companies that sell through Amazon. So speaking maybe more towards the entrepreneur, maybe starting out, but maybe more established in their business. Talk to me about the opportunity in selling on Amazon. So you've driven over $100 million per year in sales. What's possible when you understand how it all works?
I mean, when you look at it, Amazon presents a lot of different opportunities to brands and brand owners. Like we said before, it's essentially the Sears catalog of today.
Yeah.
When you want to find something, you go to Amazon and you search for it, and whatever comes up, in most cases, unless you're looking for a specific brand, is the product that you end up purchasing. So when you think of it from that perspective, not being there is just harming your company. So obviously you have to be on Amazon. That's the first thing that I would say. And then the other thing that I would consider is, depending on the stage of your company, the opportunity to be a disruptor brand and increase the brand awareness and start stealing market share from other companies is unlike any other place you can do it. I mean, you're never going to steal shelf space in a Walmart physical store from, I don't know, Johnson & Johnson. But on Amazon, you can steal the digital shelf space little by little from Johnson & Johnson and, I don't know, Dove and Nivea and whatever other shampoo brands are out there, for example. And as a one, maybe two-person company, you can be doing millions of dollars a year. We've worked with a lot of founders that are, two-person companies doing 40, 50, 60 million dollars a year. And it's impressive, because they figured out how to take advantage of the platform, how to position the products, then how to maximize their visibility. And that's obviously the key here, is like, as an entrepreneur, to grow your business, how do you tell people that your product exists or your service or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And that's what Amazon is for.
I think that's one of the interesting things is when we think about like, oh, I want to start an e-commerce business, right? You start to think about like, well, I have a neighbor who has a very successful e-commerce business, but he has a big warehouse. He has staff who's fulfilling all of that. And he's always managing that. And it's great. It's working well for him. But Amazon, you're saying like one or two people can be running a business that's doing multiple seven figures or more.
Yeah.
And it's because of some of the capacities that Amazon offers to small businesses. So we'll get into that in a second. But I mean, what's going to happen to traditional retail? You've had a foot in both sides of it. If someone's involved in anything close to traditional retail, what are your thoughts there?
It's going to continue to evolve. I mean, I think the biggest thing that we've seen, at least since I left Sears, is the focus has been smaller footprint stores. Obviously, no one needs these big boxes anymore, which is why we've seen a lot of redevelopment in malls. It's going to continue to trend in that direction. I think from the perspective of omni-channel, though, it's never going to go away. Like, consumers are still always going to like going somewhere physically to shop for goods. Yeah, they're going to want certain products you want to touch, you want to feel. I mean, no matter how convenient you make shopping for clothes online, it still has some disadvantages in that you can't actually see how you look in it. You can't actually feel it. There's lots of thoughts that AR. We'll be able to augmented reality will be able to make it seem more realistic. But the reality is that's not coming anytime soon. So I think the shift in retail will continue to be towards smaller footprint stores, improving the customer experience within retail. And then from there, whether the consumers purchase in the store, whether they purchase online, it's just going to be another platform or another place that you get visibility. Like you said earlier, the storefront in the mall. It's the sales per square foot may decrease, but the overall sales for the brand may be increasing.
That makes sense. So let's dive into to selling on Amazon. You've kind of picked up. You've started brands and you've started products on Amazon. You've also picked up in the middle as an agency. That's always something that you do. There's a whole lineage behind you. Mistakes, successes, right? So let's talk about the mistakes. Where do most brands and companies fail when it comes to setting up Amazon, selling on Amazon?
I mean, there's mistakes that are made when you're setting up the account. I mean, there's a variety of different things, and there's some nightmares that you can create for yourself. But I would say in general, it's more about just having the wrong view of what the platform is, or having the wrong understanding of it, and understanding how it fits into the larger e-commerce ecosystem that you're building. When you're starting on Amazon, I mean, yes, you need to have great copy, you need to have great images, you need to have great advertising, you need to try to maximize your product visibility. But what we see a lot of founders or a lot of companies struggle with is understanding the profitability of Amazon. The fees are high, you have a lot of competition, the advertising costs are increasing. All of these things make it sound like, what's the point? But again, coming back to brand discoverability and how are you going to get your brand in front of people? There's no better platform. Average conversion rate on Amazon is about 8%. Great sellers can see closer to 20% if possible. All of these things are way better than you get on a Shopify store. I mean, most of the conversion rates I see on Shopify stores are like 2 to 4% tops. So
for sure. Well, like it's the trusted platform, and that's something Amazon has leaned into quite a bit. I mean, they were one of the first e-commerce companies that I recall where I just felt comfortable storing my credit card information there.
Exactly.
And they've definitely done that. Now, let's talk about a little horror story. So I discovered this electronics brand that I really love their products because they were cheap and they were pretty good quality for the cost. And you might even know who I'm talking about already. It's Impow. And Impow was wildly successful as like headphones and other similar consumer electronics. But when you'd receive an Impow box, there would be this little card inside saying, give us your 5-star review for a coupon. And then one day, Impow, their entire brand was gone. What kind of mistakes are marketers making in terms of trying to, let's say, black hat the Amazon system?
I mean, the example you just gave is just not playing by the terms and conditions of Amazon. That's like the most basic one. I mean, obviously you need to follow the rules. You can't offer incentivized reviews. You can't have fake reviews. Like those will get you banned. I mean, we've seen various lawsuits from Amazon against a lot of these sellers and against a lot of these bad actors over the past, 4 or 5 years. So it's become more to the front of Amazon's attention when you're not playing by terms and conditions. So obviously, first one, do that. Like that is at a minimum what you should be doing to make sure you don't get kicked off the platform. From there, the areas get really gray around what you should be doing and should not be doing. One thing that I've seen that I highly don't recommend is, I'm sure you've seen like variation listings where you have different options. There's some sellers that will tack on a random product to a variation because that variation has a lot of traffic and try to push sales that way. It's a short-term solution. It's not actually going to solve the problem in the long term. Other ones we see are, writing copy that, again, against terms of service, against category requirements. From those, like, there's so many different examples of it. It's really hard for me to go down all of them.
Yeah, getting to like principles and strategy here. It's learn to play by the rules, because that's the long game success formula, right? Like, play within their rules. Know that it's kind of like Google. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the old Google slap thing. Like, you'd have some SEO thing that was working really well, and then suddenly one day Google like shuts off all listings and traffic to your website. And people complain, but ultimately Google has been transparent that, hey, we're trying to create this trusted environment for our users, and Amazon's trying to create a trusted environment for their users. And that's why you do get 8 to 20% conversion rates, like you said. So while playing within those rules, you talked about having good copy and having good images. So how do you optimize for Amazon SEO? What kind of copywriting rules apply? What are some just general best practices that you're looking for as you're maybe spinning up a new client account?
So the main things we focus on from a copy standpoint are the priority of the copy. So the title is the most important aspect. The bullet points are the second most important. The product description is the third. And then the keywords that go into the back end, you don't see those in the front end. That's the fourth or the least important aspect of copy. Beyond that, you also have what's called A+ content, which is a graphic section. You may have noticed it like below the fold. You kind of see like there's some SEO aspects you can do in there, like with titles and tags and things. But from a copy standpoint, it's really going to be those first four. When it comes to the optimizations, the way that we have historically always done it, although we are testing new ideas now, is the most important or the most relevant keywords for my product, or the highest traffic and keywords that will generate the highest click-through rate, need to be in the title. They want to be in that first section. So those are the ones that you got to put there. And then from there, you just kind of keep going through the list with the priority of the keywords.
Interjecting there, I guess. So it's while you want to do things like have a good product name and all of that, it's important to note that keywords are, it's like the old days of Google where keywords in the page title really mattered a lot, because, user experience being equal, having good keywords in your title tag is going to get you more traffic. It's going to help you.
Most searches on Amazon are going to be generic. They're going to be unbranded. Okay. So, for example, if I'm searching coffee mug, and the first listing comes up, has the title coffee mug, I mean, obviously that's relevant to what I'm searching. If the first title comes up is coffee mug holder, well, that's not really what I'm looking for. So again, when you have the right keyword there to begin with, that aligns with what the customer searches, the click-through rate that you're going to get on that listing is going to be significantly higher than if it was not a great match. So it's gotten a lot better on the platform, but there still are some subcategories where you might see things like that, where a product is ranked number one, but it actually has nothing to do with what the search term is. It just happens to be by coincidence, or there's a lower search volume, or whatever it may be.
And likewise, if you want to sell coffee mugs to people, don't say marketer's favorite picture put on drink holder for your hot beverages or something, right? Like, that may be a creative title, but it's not going to help you show up high up in Amazon.
For sure.
How do these rules apply or not apply if you're doing advertising on Amazon, paid advertising?
With copy?
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe that's a whole different conversation. That was kind of a random synapse firing, and we are going to talk about spending money on advertising, if they're SEO optimized. But actually, let's dive into that. So what's the difference between just getting your product right and getting SEO optimized versus spending money on advertising, and when does it make sense to also invest in that side?
For sure. So there's a couple things to consider here. The first one is, obviously, we've talked briefly about it, but the SEO, you got to make sure that you have the relevant keywords to have any potential to show up in an organic search. Likewise, you need to make sure that the title has the relevant keywords for what consumers are going to be searching for. That's going to come in handy on the advertising piece. But outside of copy itself, all of these aspects are, from an SEO standpoint, are more of, have more impact on click-through rates or bringing people to the page than they do on actual conversions. When you're looking at maximizing your conversions, you really want to look at the imagery that you're using on the product pages. So at that point, you got to make sure that you have a clear image of what the product is. And then your other images that show up as you click through need to have relevant copy overlays that say either what the product's doing, how it benefits them, whatever is relevant for that product. Good example, easy example is like protein or coffee. How many servings? Like if you don't tell me how many servings are in the image, like that's like a pretty obvious one that someone wants to know. And you want to call out the main things that are going to be beneficial to them that they're going to be searching for, and that's going to help them convert. Beyond that, A+ is another area. Getting some reviews on your listing to have social proof, like all of these are going to help you get ready so you can get to the point where you're doing your advertising.
Okay, that's interesting. I like the images bit and focusing on that for conversion, because I noticed, like, even if I think back in the last couple of days, my wife was looking at a new computer for our office, and she'd had like a mini PC, which is a very different form factor than laptops or desktop towers. And I was looking at different options that would work for like a replacement, right? And for most PCs, you don't think, oh, you need to include the physical dimensions of the PC itself. But for these different form factors, there's like the mini PC, there's the tower. And for those, I know that the first thing that I did was I clicked through the image slideshow and looked for the specific dimensions. And so I like that thinking, that you think, like, what are all the important questions that somebody's going to have about this? And how can I represent them visually in the images?
For sure. So I mean, even when you're clicking through and you're filtering by size or by price point or by brand, whatever it is, those are all details that having them in the images are super helpful because people are going to be looking, but those are images that you need to include in the back end as well. It's not going to impact your SEO. It's not going to impact your conversion rates, but it is going to impact when people are specifically looking for your product in specific details, like size, dimensions, or another one would be like RAM processing power or storage or whatever. If you don't have those details, your product won't show up. So it's another step beyond the SEO. It's another step beyond the imagery, but it's also important.
Yeah. Okay, so diving into the advertising, you said we need to get the SEO down. We need to get the images. We need to get, kind of check off the different items that are going to lead to conversion, especially including the reviews, because on Amazon, that's another place where Amazon really led, was bringing reviews into to the forefront, I guess, in selling things online. So let's say we've kind of checked off all those boxes. Now let's talk about paid advertising on Amazon. What's that process like? And this is a little bit different than Amazon having an ad network that displays stuff all over, right?
I mean, yes, they're related, but there are different platforms that serve different purposes. So you have the campaign manager, which is all on platform stuff. Well, it's starting to change a little bit. And then you have the DSP side, the programmatic side, which is the off platform. Both of them tie into each other. Both of them tie into the selling side of Amazon, but they have different purposes. So the first way that I always position the conversation is like, how do I start advertising? It's focusing on the, bottom of the funnel keywords that people are going to search, and they have high purchase intent and they're going to buy it. So another one, a good example is usually a generic search there. A branded search could be another example of it. But if I want a Nalgene water bottle, I have the intention of buying a Nalgene water bottle. It's a very specific search. So usually starting at the bottom of the funnel there, building campaigns based around the keywords that people are going to try to convert, and then building up to the consideration phase. Like, how do I get people looking for other brands to come to my pages and consider my products? And then
Yeah.
going on beyond that, how do I get to the brand awareness phase where I can teach people about my products or that my brand exists before they're in consideration and before they're ready to purchase, and then start moving down the funnel. So it's kind of, we reverse the funnel. We build out that bottom part first and then start moving up the funnel from there.
That's never a bad strategy. I mean, you start with the most hyper aware people who are basically ready for whatever your deal is.
Yeah.
And then I guess one of the big things that I'm hearing from you that's also consistent with my experience with the Amazon advertising platform is it's very focused on keywords as markets. And so you're focused on which keywords have the highest buyer intent and then working backwards from there. Is there anything from the copy side that you have as far as recommendations? Because that can look, the copy there can look a little bit different than, you can make it look as different as you want, I guess, than the titles, et cetera, for a product. So do you have general rules that you follow for the copy for the ads?
For sure. I would say that there's limited use of copy within the ad creative. There are some options for it though. So sponsored brands and sponsored display being the two main sources of where you can use custom creatives with copy overlays or with special messaging to the consumer. And generally, I would say that the best way to leverage those copy spaces is to align it with the keywords that are the customer is searching for. So again, coming back to the coffee mug example, I want to create an ad creative that says coffee mug, best coffee. You're not going to say best coffee mugs. That's a little too silly, but coffee mugs for home office workers. Very specific to whatever their search is. And you can create as many different versions of that. So you could have coffee mug might be one, coffee thermos might be another one. And then obviously creating different variations of the ads based on what the specific search terms that are going to be within those campaigns. Aligning that from a copy standpoint is one of the best ways to see the results on the advertising side with the custom creatives that allow for copy.
Now, how do you do that when there's a competitive keyword that you're bidding on?
I
don't know. Well, let's see. You mentioned Nalgene water bottles. I'm trying to think of another water bottle brand, right? But let's say I'm selling a different water bottle and somebody just searched for Nalgene water bottles. Are there limitations on using somebody else's brand, somebody else's trademark?
You won't be able to use their brand within the copy that you're writing on the advertising. And honestly, frankly, I don't even recommend advertising on their branded keywords. They're typically going to be really expensive. And you're not going to convert well on them.
Honestly, like I'm looking down because I'm an Nalgene water bottle. Like I'm a fan.
I have mine over here too. So
and if somebody, if somebody put an ad in front of me when I was searching for Nalgene water bottles, I probably wouldn't convert. I'm thinking also in the context of selling books on Amazon and having like a different author versus, which is another context where people are. I mean, you have background selling books through Kindle. And if it's targeted in a way where, let's say, I know, Dan Kennedy fans are likely to be interested in my stuff on marketing, I'm still limited in, I guess, kind of the same way.
There's options. So I would say that the books are a little bit more challenging, but going back to your example of Nalgene, our example of Nalgene, I might not want to advertise on the keyword Nalgene, but when you go to an Amazon listing, there's a variety of different ad spaces on the listing. Those are the ones that I might want to advertise on, because now someone's looking at the product page and, oh, well, here's an actual visual example of what my product looks like right next to theirs. Maybe the copy and the title's good. Maybe the images are better than the one I'm looking at. Maybe I'm going to go check out this one. And then that's how you start creating the consideration within the funnel. And from there, you can build all types of retargeting and different options to actually get them to come purchase eventually. And you're going to probably do it at a better cost or a better conversion rate than just advertising on Nalgene water bottle.
Okay, so this is actually perfect because continuing with the scenario, we're essentially talking about building a disruptor brand, right? Yes. We're essentially talking about building some brand that's not in the popular consciousness, that's not in the gestalt, right? And taking over market share inside a market. So how big of a threat are disruptor brands on Amazon to these established brands? And if you're looking to build a disruptor brand, where do you come from in terms of trying to create success on that?
I would say they are less of a threat than they used to be.
Okay.
It's more difficult for them now more than anything. I mean, you can get really creative with your marketing efforts and you can build a really great job around it. A good example of this is, oh wow, I'm blanking on the brand name. Maybe you know them. It's I think it's a mineral water brand. It's like Death by something. Oh wow, I have to think of it. But anyway, what they did was they built a website to drive all their traffic to. Instead of having a checkout on the website, they pushed all their traffic to Amazon. So all their sales were going through Amazon, which helped them steal more and more market share from other ways. So there's a ton of different ways to get creative from a disruptor standpoint to help you get to that point where you're taking more and more market share. But if you're just going to come at it from the approach of, well, I'm just going to advertise on Amazon, do what everybody else is doing, it's much harder for you to actually disrupt a lot of these companies now because they've invested serious amounts of advertising dollars into Amazon to protect those positions. Unless you have, I wish I could remember the name of that brand. Unless you have like a creative approach to that, that's going to push more and more sales to it. It's going to be harder to disrupt.
Well, okay. So let me flip this around and even if we're not necessarily going to take over a market here, many people who follow my work are much more versed in the direct to consumer model, and even selling through Amazon feels like it feels much less direct to consumer because, for example, I'm not getting buyer data, right? So one of the great things about direct response marketing is you can spend 100% of the or more of the cost of acquiring a customer. You can spend 100% or more of the profit from the first sale just to acquire a customer if you have the right understanding such that you can then market to that customer immediately after or for the next few months or years, and make it up on lifetime value.
Yes, exactly.
So how can you do that in the context of the Amazon ecosystem? One of the first things you talked about is it's the single best place to get brand awareness, to start building a brand. Yeah. So what can you do if you have kind of this direct to consumer mindset?
Yeah. So first of all, the brand is Liquid Death. That is the one I was thinking of that I kept blanking on. But there is an interesting feature of Amazon, and it comes through on the DSP side, the programmatic side that we haven't really discussed yet. Yeah. And what you can do is that you can leverage your customers buying the product on Amazon to create a custom audience within the DSP, kind of like you would create like a lookalike audience or a custom audience on Facebook, for example. And then from the DSP side, you can push traffic to Amazon or you can push traffic off of Amazon. So if you wanted to, you can leverage the audience of people buying your products on Amazon to start targeting similar people off of Amazon and pushing them to your own website. And that's where you start seeing the benefits of, all right, now I'm acquiring more customers that are within my, within my custom audience or that are similar to my custom audience, and try to get that purchasing through my website where they can now get on an email list and then I can remarket to them in the future. And that's really where you start to see the lifetime value effects kick in. I mean, on the Amazon platform, you can do subscribe and save, say 5% if you buy two, or say 5% if you buy one every month. Yeah, is actually what I meant. But that is limited in that you still don't have the data for marketing outside the DSP, and that piece with custom audiences or lookalike audiences for driving traffic to your website is really where you're going to see that benefit.
Okay. Now, the old manufacturer warranty cards were a different thing where manufacturers were essentially doing this. So you buy through the Sears catalog or Sears locally, and many products would come with a warranty card. And what you don't necessarily know or didn't think of if you weren't in marketing was that they were building a mailing list buyers there. Yes. Is that within the Amazon terms that I can send people to my website to get more?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it is. Again, I said a lot of things get gray, and this is one of the things that gets very gray.
Okay.
As long as you are not telling them to purposely go to the website, like you can insert a mailer, as long as the mailer does not say, hey, go to my website and save 10%, or go to my website and buy from there, or things like that. If it's like a QR code, sign up here for your warranty, or check out the rest of our catalog, blah, blah, blah.
User guide, free recipes, like all those lead magnets.
That is the type of stuff that you can do and you can get away with, and you can start building lists from there. So there's another angle about creating lists for remarketing or retargeting in the future. So I prefaced this at the beginning when you asked me about Amazon, and when we're talking about it, Amazon is like the top. Amazon is a platform within your entire e-commerce business, is the brand awareness piece at the top of the funnel. Yeah. You're bringing everyone in. The more people you can bring in, the more you can convert, the more they're going to move down through the funnel, consideration phase or the lower parts of the funnel. Those are, and loyalty at the bottom. That's going to be coming through these lists that you're going to be able to build through all the awareness that you're going to get through people visiting the website. So it's just a matter of time. You start building the right system, and it all leads in the right direction.
In that context, I don't remember the exact ranking, but when you look at giant search engines, there's Google, Amazon, and YouTube. And I don't remember if Amazon or YouTube are, which one's number 2 and number 3, but Amazon is up there as a top search engine, and it is the number 1 e-commerce search engine in the world. So people go to Google and they may be interested in learning about the latest updates about the Kardashians or whoever, right? Or they may be going to Google to buy. When they go to Amazon and they type something in the search engine, they are going to buy, right? That's why they're typing in the search engine. And so just in terms of discovery, it makes sense to be there, and it makes sense to figure out a way, whether that's through the DSP, whether that's through, some kind of offer in a mailer inside your product, whether that's through whatever, to build your brand on Amazon and think of it. I mean, I sell books on Amazon, and I always think of it when I pay for advertising for the books. I don't need to make money. I can lose money because I'm acquiring an audience member, right? Yep. And it's a good way to think of Amazon. You can also make a good profit on Amazon. Yeah. So in the context of all of this, one important question that comes up, like you deal with somebody who maybe has some e-commerce experience or mail order experience. They might want to fulfill themselves because they have that operation. So clients come into you, they might want to fulfill themselves. They're asking, but they know Amazon runs these big warehouses. They bought up the old Sears locations. They have the warehouses everywhere. And Amazon has this thing called FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. How important is using Amazon FBA when selling through their platform?
It's very important, in all honesty.
Okay.
The products that are FBA, they tend to do the best. It's kind of, you mentioned it earlier about trust on the platform, and it was the first platform that you said you trusted. And that Prime badge, it carries a lot of weight. When you're in the FBA fulfillment center, or have your product in the fulfillment center, your products automatically get the Prime badge, and customers look for that. It's a sign of trust. It's a sign that the product's real, that it's going to arrive, and it's just taking it to a whole nother level. So your conversions are going to be higher. Although they are not supposed to, it appears that your products that are in FBA tend to rank better organically on the platform than products that are not.
Well, I mean, they might not use that as a ranking mechanism, but if it converts better, the way that they're going to rank is going to be something along the lines of like most revenue per click or per impression, right? Yeah. And if it converts more,
you're going to move up. And I mean, again, like I said, there's no hard evidence of this, but Amazon also makes more money from FBA products because they're doing the fulfillment. So there's always that little caveat. That being said, with during the pandemic period, there were a shift towards more FBM, fulfillment by merchant, or fulfilling from your own warehouse, starting to get a larger share of the buy box. I'm not sure if that trend has continued or not, mainly because the Amazon warehouses are so backed up. And I still hear it frequently that a lot of consumers are unhappy with Prime and unhappy with the shipping, that it's either not arriving in the time period, it's taking too long. So fulfillment centers are really overworked. And I think that's one of the reasons that the warehouse has started getting a little bit more visibility on the platform.
Yeah. Once upon a time, Prime meant 2 days or less, right? But for example, Prime Day just happened, and all of the shipping times went up to like 4 or 5 days, if not longer, even if it is Prime, right? And like, I'm a Prime member. I buy things. I choose things from the consumer side. I choose things that are Prime shipping just for that exact same reason. It's going to show up off the Amazon truck within a couple of days. But I notice if, my 2-day shipping is suddenly going to be 5-day shipping, and I'm like, what the heck? Right.
Yeah. I mean, you get frustrated. It's like, it's something that you expect. And when you don't get it, it's like, come on, like, what's going on here? But
yeah. Well, so let's say somebody wants to start to get into Amazon. I mean, number one, if they are already selling significantly on Amazon, it's probably worth talking to you. But and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if someone is looking to get onto Amazon, they're looking to start marketing their product on Amazon. Maybe they don't have a huge advertising budget to throw at that. Like, what's the general high level process that you would recommend they follow?
The general high level process, I mean, like I said before, start with the fundamentals. You got to have your copyright. You got to have your images right. Make the listing look good. And then start with some basic advertising just on the keywords that you're leveraging within the title and within the bullet points. The sooner that you can start advertising after you update the copy, there's a period that we call the honeymoon period, where Amazon tends to favor these products that have the new copy that start generating sales. You want to start tying all of that together. So you upload content, you start advertising almost immediately, you start converting almost immediately. And then from there, Amazon sees that as a relevancy signal for your product, for the keyword. At a minimum, that is what you should be doing.
Okay.
I think, like, since a lot of your audience is on the copy side, I think there's a lot of interesting things that you can do if you have the right experience outside of Amazon that can push a lot more traffic to your listings. I mean, good examples of this are obviously blogging. You could technically create sales pages, pushing people there, SEO, pushing people to a website like Liquid Death, and then pushing people to Amazon to purchase, PR placements, product placements, and things like BuzzFeed, like all of these ways playing to your advantage to find ways to drive traffic to Amazon to your products is going to benefit you in the long run. And some of them do not have a high cost, especially like SEO and things like that. Those are things that you kind of dictate the cost around. So
in general, not just feeling completely wedded to the Amazon platform for creative promotion strategy sounds, I mean, it can be a winning thing, right? If you're great at Facebook groups and something about your product on Amazon is really conducive to live streams on Facebook groups, and you have like a hyper responsive, passionate audience there, go do that. But sell through Amazon, because you're gonna feed the algorithm, and then when somebody goes and visits it on Amazon, you don't have to be a pro email marketer, because Amazon's going to say, "Hey, you were checking out this product." Like, I'm thinking sewing, right? Like, oh, you were checking out this new sewing needle or something. You were checking out whatever it is, right? And why don't you buy it, right?
Yeah. Or another example of getting really creative with it is a product where getting a referral or a recommendation might be useful. So easy example of this is baby products. Well, who's the best person to find out from baby products? Mothers. And where's the best place to find out from mothers? Well, obviously you can ask mothers, but it's going to be a lot easier to find answers on YouTube from mothers that have reviewed the products, or on Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platforms are on that are actually recommending the products. So again, there's a lot of ways to get creative without spending a lot of money on Amazon ads specifically that will drive traffic to your listings. The important thing is just being able to convert those consumers. And that, again, it comes down to the fundamentals of the copy you're doing, of the images you're putting in, and obviously making it relevant for what your consumers really want.
Yeah. Okay, well, you've covered a lot of ground, and it's clear that you have a ton of experience and a lot of value to share on Amazon, both just listing products and really taking advantage of the advertising platforms as well. When is it appropriate for someone to start thinking of working with an agency like AMZ Advisors for Amazon?
So I would say whenever you're looking at scaling advertising, if your background's not in advertising, that's usually the time. There's agencies of different sizes, and like us personally, we work with brands that are already doing $1 million on Amazon a year. So once you kind of get to that threshold, that is the best time to come look for us. But there's freelancers out there that you can, pay for less, or there's smaller agencies or boutique agencies that charge less or may specialize at a certain growth point. But for us, like, we want to take your brand from $1 to $10 million a year as a minimum. And if you're in that space, like, that's who we want to talk to. We will help you the most from that standpoint.
And even if you have some advertising background, to have somebody that knows the ins and outs and stays on top of it every day, like, there's advantages in that. And you offer a free strategy call for someone who's in that position.
Of course, yeah. We offer a free 30-minute call to kind of talk through, understand your brand, understand where we can help, or at least set you in the right direction on what you should be doing. I've already sent you the link for that. So I think anyone that's interested in understanding what to do on the Amazon platform more should definitely set up a call.
Okay. And that's your personal Calendly link. The link is in the description. It'll be at the top of the description for everybody who is relevant. Either way, I mean, this has me, I guess, being reminded and more curious about the power of Amazon as a brand building, audience building platform. And in that regard, I hope that the rest of the audience is inspired too. If it is relevant for you, check out the link in the description to the free strategy call. This is Mike Begg with AMZ Advisors. Mike, I guess, thank you for coming on, sharing your wisdom about Amazon and how to be successful as a brand on Amazon.
Hey, Roy, thanks for having me. I really appreciate your time. It's been great chatting with you, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And to everyone who has listened or watched this interview to the end, thank you. I would love to hear at least one big takeaway or action item that you have pulled out of this, something that you want to do. And I strongly encourage you, if you are in the right position, to follow up with Mike and consider how they might be able to help you with your Amazon listings and advertising. I'm Roy Furr, this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I'll see you again in the next episode. I'll see you soon. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.